You're live.
Well, we're live here from the Napier Courthouse, and we've just got out of our sentencing hearing. So we're down in Napier. Sara and I are down here after the Taitu action, which was now a year and a bit ago, April 2017.
Long time ago.
Where we confronted the Amazon Warrior, the world's largest seismic testing vessel, and it's been a long process, but we've had our sentencing hearing just now, and the judge has reserved their decision on what penalties they will impose on us. So how did you find the hearing, Sara?
Well, I've never experienced anything quite like that before. It ran very professionally, I guess, and it wasn't nice or not nice. It was okay.
And I thought it was quite good to hear in a courtroom the value of non-violent civil disobedience in terms of producing change. I thought it was interesting to hear, because one of our expert witnesses made a submission about how that history has been changed and the world made better as a result of non-violent civil disobedience. So it was quite cool to hear that aired in a courtroom, did you think?
Yeah, I think that peaceful civil disobedience has a huge role to play in democracy, and we've seen historically people have put themselves in challenging positions in order to make change that's really, really important about the stuff that's important. And I think they will continue to do so in the future. And we're doing it now alongside a lot of other people that have stood up for this. And we have actually made the change happen that we wanted to happen. There is going to be no new oil and gas permits off the coast of New Zealand. So we can be proud of that.
Yeah. And of course, it was all about climate change. It is all about climate change. So the whole action was driven by the simple fact that we can't afford to burn existing known fossil fuel reserves. So what on earth are we doing allowing oil companies to look for more fossil fuel reserves? And if oil companies have their way, they will destroy the stable climate on which all of us and our children depend for our very lives. So this is actually a fight for our lives and a fight for our kids' lives. And that's why Sara and I were out there, and that's why we've had our appearance in court today. It was all about climate change and getting in the way of a seismic blasting vessel that, as well as disrupting marine life, was looking for oil that we can't afford to burn if we want to have a stable climate.
What was the outcome of the court today?
Well, the outcome of the hearing today was a reserve decision. So that means the judge heard the evidence and then has said he will come back with a decision by mid-September as to the sentence. And what we're hoping for, what we've applied for, is a discharge without conviction. So we've pleaded guilty to the charges earlier, and so we're asking the court to do a discharge without conviction, and which is partly it's driven by the recognition that what Sara and I was doing was for a greater good. It's not like we were doing it for any particular personal reasons, but we were doing it for a greater good reason, and that if people who are taking peaceful non-violent civil disobedience end up with criminal convictions, it has a chilling effect on our democracy.
Do you regret your actions?
I don't regret swimming in front of the Amazon Warrior. There will be no new oil and gas permits awarded off the coast of Aotearoa, and so there's no way I would regret swimming in front of the Amazon Warrior, because I think we were part of a really big movement that got us to this place. This process has seen people across New Zealand protesting in ports. It's seen tens of thousands of signatures on petitions. It's seen significant opposition from council and iwi. Also, particularly, it would be important, I think, to acknowledge Ngāti Kahanunu, who's voyaging waka Te Mautoa Maui, went out to carry the messages of Āti, Hapu and iwi to the Amazon Warrior just before we went to meet them. And also the iwi chairs, who are united in opposition to oil and gas. So standing alongside all these incredible people across New Zealand as one part of them, in solidarity, we have enacted change, and that feels really good. It makes us feel powerful and like we have voices.
So do you think that the action against the Amazon Warrior had an impact on the government's recent decision to not issue any new offshore oil and gas permits?
I feel that we and all the other people across New Zealand who have taken action against oil and gas exploration have been heard, and that is why there will be no new oil and gas permits off the coast of New Zealand.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, as to the impact of this kind of action, I think that there's no question that we wouldn't have seen the government make a decision to end new oil and gas exploration permits had it not been for the climate movement. So the actions of Sara and I and everyone who was out there on Taitu against the Schlumberger vessel, the Amazon Warrior, the action of iwi up and down the country, climate movement activists all over New Zealand. There were many tens of thousands of us, and together we made this decision possible, and it wouldn't have happened without us. So I think we can rightly feel proud that we literally did change the course of history, and millions of people all around the planet were absolutely thrilled when they woke up that day and they read it on their websites that the new New Zealand government had banned new oil and gas exploration permits everywhere except for Taranaki. I think that was a really fabulous thing to have inspired millions of people around the planet, and I think all of us in New Zealand who are involved in this can feel proud of that.
And also I feel that future generations will look back at this time and be really shocked and disappointed at how much harm came to the earth during this period. And I want to be able to live my life knowing that at least I really did try. I really did try to change this course.
Do you think we'll see increased action on peaceful civil disobedience on climate change around the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're already seeing significant non-violent civil disobedience around climate change, particularly in the United States, but elsewhere as well, and I'm sure there'll be more. I mean, this is a fight for our very survival. I mean, this is humanity versus the fossil fuel industry. This is the future generations of literally everyone on this planet versus the fossil fuel industry. That's what it's come down to. Because the thing about the oil, gas and coal industry is that their business model requires that we destroy the stable climate on which our civilization depends. And so they are in an existential fight for their survival. And if they survive, it means the rest of us are doomed. So it's absolutely critical that we confront them and beat them. And we do it very rapidly because time's running out. I mean, just today there was another paper published that showed just 2 glaciers in Antarctica, if they were to go, or 2 ice sheets were to go, they would release significant ice, which would increase sea level by about 25 millimetres. So it's just those two. So this is a fight for our very survival.
And so what happens next for you two?
Well, I'm going to have a cup of tea. And then we have a couple of months before we find out what the sentencing will be. We come back mid-September at the moment is the date that's been set. That's when we'll find out what will happen next.
Yeah, and the truth is you never regret being a climate activist for your whole life. Whatever you do, whatever happens to us and the decision that's made, we'll never regret being climate activists. As Sara said, you only got one life. What is it that you want to do with it? And if you're not going to stand up to protect the climate and biodiversity, then I think it's something you'll live to regret. And so anyone, and there's many tens of thousands of us all around New Zealand and around the world who are climate activists, we're extremely proud of what we're doing. Not just Sara and I, but everyone else. This is the most important movement in the history of the world, and we're very proud to be part of it.
Yeah, we cohabit this tiny ball of rock in the middle of space that, due to a set of almost impossible conditions, is full of life and full of incredible life systems that are so intelligent and have developed over gazillions of years and are extremely resilient, and we don't understand all of them. And humans are one aspect of this whole system, and we're seeing life disappear, and we're having a disproportionate effect on that. And that's why I had to swim in front of the Amazon Warrior, and I almost felt like I didn't have a choice. It was a simple choice to make. And I didn't do it out of frustration. I'm sure I speak for you too. I didn't do it from a place of anger. I swam in front of the Amazon Warrior for love for this planet and everything that I see. And when you do something from a place of love, there's very little you can't do.
Great, well thank you so much for talking with us today, and all the best in the coming months.
Thank you, and
Thanks.
hello everyone out there who supported
Bye.
us. Thank you, we really appreciate it. See ya.